You were born between 1980 and 1995, and if you have ever felt like you don't quite belong here, like you were placed in the wrong time or the wrong world, there is a reason for that. Edgar Cayce, the sleeping prophet, spoke of generations that would arrive on Earth not by chance, but by design. He said that certain souls would be called forward at very specific moments in history, moments when the world needed them most. You are one of those souls. This is not about astrology. This is not about trends or personality types. This is about something far older and far more intentional. Before you were born, a choice was made, not by your parents, not by chance, but by your soul. You agreed to come here during a time of great pressure, a time when the old world would begin to crack, a time when people would lose faith in systems, in leaders, in each other, a time when confusion would spread like fog across the surface of the earth. And you came anyway. You came because you had been prepared. Long before this lifetime, your soul went through experiences that most people today cannot even imagine. You lived through wars. You lived through collapses. You lived through moments when everything you believed in fell apart. And in those lifetimes, you learned something. You learned how to hold yourself together when the world around you did not. You learned how to feel deeply without breaking. You learned how to question everything and still find meaning. Those were not accidents. Those were lessons. And when the call went out for souls who could handle what was coming, you answered. Years between 1980 and 1995 were not random. They were a window, a moment in time when the energy of the earth was shifting in a very specific way. The old structures were still standing, but the cracks were already forming. Technology was beginning to change everything. Information was starting to move faster. People were starting to feel more isolated, even though they were more connected. The world was speeding up, but the soul was slowing down. And into that gap, you were born. You came in with something most people do not have. You came in with the ability to feel what others cannot. You came in sensitive. Not weak, sensitive. There's a difference. Weakness breaks under pressure. Sensitivity absorbs it. You were made to absorb the emotional weight of this time. To feel the confusion, the grief, the anger, the fear that is moving through the collective human experience right now. And you were trained, across lifetimes, to hold that weight without losing yourself inside it. But no one told you that. So you grew up thinking something was wrong with you. You grew up feeling too much, caring too much, thinking too much. You looked around and saw other people moving through life with ease, and you wondered why everything felt so heavy for you. You wondered why you could not just be happy with the surface of things, why you always had to go deeper, why you always had to ask why. And when you could not find the answers, you started to think you were broken. You are not broken. You were built for this. Edgar Cayce said that souls do not enter the earth randomly. They enter according to cycles, according to planetary alignments, collective needs, and karmic contracts. He said that some souls come to learn, others come to teach, and some come to stabilize. You are part of the third group. You are here to stabilize the shift that is happening right now, not by preaching, not by leading movements, but by being present, by holding space, by refusing to panic when everyone else does. The world you were born into was a world in transition. The 1980s and 1990s were the bridge between the old age and the new one. The old age was built on control, on hierarchy, on logic, on systems that told people what to think and how to live. The new age is being built on connection, on intuition, on truth, on the collapse of those same systems. And you were born right. In the middle, you got to see both. You got to experience the end of the old world and the beginning of the new one. That was not an accident. That was preparation. You grew up in a time when you were told to follow the rules, get good grades, find a stable job, build a predictable life. But something inside you never agreed with that. Something inside you always knew there was more. You could feel it. You could sense that the world you were being prepared for was not the world that was actually coming. And so you struggled. You resisted. You questioned. You pulled away. And people around you did not understand. They thought you were lost. They thought you were avoiding responsibility. They thought you were afraid of life, but you were not afraid of life. You were afraid of wasting it. You were afraid of building something that had no meaning. You were afraid of pretending. And that fear, that resistance, that refusal to settle, that was your soul protecting you. That was your soul saying, not yet. Not this. There is something else coming. Wait. And now. Here we are. The systems are falling. The old structures are crumbling. The things people built their entire lives around are no longer working. Jobs that were supposed to be stable are disappearing. Institutions that were supposed to protect people are failing. Beliefs that were supposed to bring comfort are being questioned. And the world is waking up to the fact that something fundamental has changed. And you, the one who never quite fit into the old world, you are finally beginning to understand why. You were not supposed to fit. You were supposed to see beyond it. You were supposed to hold a different frequency. A frequency that could not be absorbed by the systems of control. A frequency that stayed true even when everything around you told you to conform. That frequency is what the world needs now. Not your pain, not your struggle, but the strength you built because of it. Edgar Cayce spoke often about the soul's journey. He said that we do not live just one life. We live many. And in each life, we are given chances to grow, to heal, to balance the energies we carry. Some lives are peaceful. Some are hard. And some are designed specifically to prepare us for a mission we agreed to long before we arrived. Your life, if you were born between 1980 and 1995, is one of those lives. You did not come here to have an easy time. You came here to be tested, to be shaped, to be made ready for what is happening now. And the struggles you have faced, the disappointments, the heartbreaks, the moments when you felt like giving up, those were not punishments. They were initiations. Each one of them taught you something you will need in the years ahead. You learned how to lose and still keep going. You learned how to be misunderstood and still trust yourself. You learned how to feel alone and still find meaning. You learned how to watch the world move in one direction while your soul pulled you in another. And you learned how to survive that tension without losing your mind. Those lessons were not random, they were deliberate. They were part of your training. Most people do not understand that. Most people think life is supposed to be fair, that suffering is a mistake, that if you are going through something hard, it means you did something wrong. But that is not how the soul works. The soul does not grow in comfort. It grows in friction. It grows when it is forced to choose between what is easy and what is true. And your generation was born into more friction than most. You were born into a world that was obsessed with success, but had no idea what success really meant. You were told to chase money, status, recognition, security. But when you tried, it felt empty. You were told to follow your passion, but no one taught you how to survive while doing it. You were told you could be anything, but the systems in place made sure only certain people actually could. You were caught between two lies. The lie that you were free, and the lie that you were not good enough. And so you burned out. You struggled with anxiety, with depression, with exhaustion that had no name. You felt like you were failing at life because you could not keep up with a game that was rigged from the start. And no one around you seemed to notice. Everyone just kept moving, kept pretending, kept smiling through the collapse. And you started to think that maybe you were the problem, that maybe you were too sensitive, too slow, too damaged. But you were not the problem. You were the alarm. You were the canary in the coal mine. You were the one feeling what everyone else was too numb to notice. The systems were breaking long before anyone admitted it. The world was becoming unlivable long before the headlines caught up. And you, with your sensitivity, with your refusal to pretend, you were registering that truth in your body, in your mind, in your spirit. You were feeling the death of the old world before it even knew it was dying. Edgar Cayce said that certain souls come to earth during times of great change because they carry a specific kind of energy. An energy that can hold space during chaos. An energy that does not need everything to make sense in order to keep going. An energy that can be broken and still believe in something greater. That is the energy you carry. That is what makes you different. And that is what the world is finally ready to receive. Because the shift is no longer coming. It is here. The world you grew up preparing for has arrived. And everything you went through, everything that made you feel weak or lost or out of place, it was all leading to this moment. You are not here to fix the world. You are not here to save anyone. You are here to be steady, to be grounded, to be a living reminder that it is possible to go through hell and still come out whole. People are scared right now. They are confused. They are angry. They do not know what to believe anymore. They do not know who to trust. And they are looking for someone who is not panicking. Someone who has already been through the fire and came out the other side. That someone is you. You do not have to be loud. You do not have to be perfect. You do not have to have all the answers. You just have to be real. You just have to stay true to what you know in your soul. Because that truth, that quiet, steady knowing, that is what will guide others when everything else falls apart. The 1980 to 1995 generation was prepared for this, in ways that no other generation was. You were born at the exact moment when the old world and the new world overlapped. You got to see both. You got to live in both. You know what it feels like to try to fit into a system that does not work. And you also know what it feels like to walk away from it and trust something deeper. That makes you a bridge, a translator, a guide for those who are just now waking up to what you have known for years. You are not too late. You are not behind. You are exactly where you are supposed to be. And everything you have carried, everything you have survived, it was all preparation. Not for a life that looks like everyone else's, but for a life that matters in a way most people will never understand. The spiritual shift that Edgar Cayce spoke of is not something that happens all at once. It is not a single event. It is a process. A slow, deep unwinding of everything humanity has built on false ground. And it has been happening for decades. You have been living inside it your entire life. The confusion you felt growing up, the sense that nothing quite made sense, the feeling that the world was pretending to be something it was not, that was you sensing the shift before most people even knew it existed. Cayce said that there would come a time when the veil between the physical and the spiritual would grow thin, when people would begin to remember who they really are, when the systems built on fear and control would no longer be able to hold. And when that time came, the world would need people who were already awake, people who had already done the inner work, people who had already questioned everything and come out the other side, still believing in something real. That is you. Whether you feel ready or not, whether you feel qualified or not, you are one of the ones who agreed to be here for this. Not because you are special in the way the world defines special, but because your soul is old. Because you have done this before. Because you know, somewhere deep inside, how to hold space when everything is falling apart. The mission of your generation is not to fight. It is not to force change. It is not to convince people or win arguments or prove that you were right. All along, your mission is to stabilize, to ground, to be the calm in the center of the storm. Because while everyone else is panicking, while everyone else is looking for someone to blame or something to cling to, You will be the one who remembers that this is not the end. This is the beginning. You were born into a world that taught you to disconnect from yourself. A world that told you your feelings were too much, your questions were too deep, your sensitivity was a weakness. And because of that, you learned how to reconnect. You learned how to go inward. You learned how to trust your own inner voice, even when no one else understood. That skill, that ability to stay connected to your soul when the outside world is chaos, that is what will carry you through what is coming. And it is what will help others do the same. Edgar Cayce said that the souls born during certain times carry specific gifts. Gifts that are not always obvious. Gifts that sometimes look like wounds. Your generation carries the gift of transformation. You know how to take pain and turn it into wisdom. You know how to take loss and turn it into depth. You know how to take confusion and turn it into clarity. Not because you wanted to, but because you had to. Because that is what your life demanded of you. And now, the world is demanding the same thing. The world is being forced to let go of what no longer works, to face what it has been avoiding, to feel what it has been numbing. And it does not know how, but you do. You have been doing it your whole life. You have been practicing for this moment without even knowing it. The reason so many of you have felt lost, stuck, or behind is because you were not supposed to build your life on the old structures. You were not supposed to invest your energy in systems that were designed to collapse. Your soul knew that, and so it kept you on the edge. It kept you questioning. It kept you from settling into something that would only fall apart later. That was protection. That was wisdom. That was your soul keeping you available for what is happening now. You are not starting over. You are stepping into what you were always meant to do. And what you are meant to do is not complicated. You are meant to live in alignment with your truth. You are meant to trust your intuition. You are meant to honor your sensitivity instead of apologizing for it. You are meant to stop pretending you are like everyone else and start owning the fact that you are not. Because your difference is not a flaw. It is your power. The world does not need more people trying to fit in. It needs people who are willing to stand apart. People who are willing to say, I do not agree with this. I do not believe in this. I will not participate in this. Not out of rebellion, but out of truth. Out of a deep, unshakable knowing that there is another way. And you carry that knowing. You always have. Edgar Cayce believed that the future of humanity depended on those who could bridge the gap between the material and the spiritual, between logic and intuition, between fear and love. And your generation is that bridge. You were raised in a world that worshipped logic, control, and proof. But your soul never stopped whispering about something more, something unseen, something that could not be measured but could always be felt. And now, as the world begins to crack open, that whisper is becoming a roar. You do not need to convince anyone. You do not need to prove anything. You just need to keep going, keep trusting, keep choosing truth over comfort, keep choosing depth over distraction, keep showing up as yourself, even when it feels like no one is listening. Because they are. They are watching, they are noticing. And when the time comes, when the fear gets too loud and the confusion gets too thick, they will remember you. They will remember the one who did not panic, the one who stayed grounded, the one who somehow knew it was going to be okay. You were prepared for this, not in a classroom, not in a seminar, but in the trenches of your own life. In the quiet moments when you had to choose between giving up and going deeper. In the dark nights when you had to find a reason to keep believing. In the heartbreaks that taught you how to love without needing anything in return. Those were your initiations. Those were your tests, and you passed. Not because you are perfect, but because you are still here. This is your time. Not to become someone new, but to finally become who you have always been. The one who came here on purpose. The one who was trained for this. The one who can hold the light even when everything around you is falling into shadow. You are not too late. You are right on time. And the world is ready for you now. What happens next is not something you need to force. It is something you allow. You have spent your entire life being told that you need to work harder, push more, prove yourself, earn your place. But that is the language of the old world, the world that is ending. The new world, the one you were born to help bring in, does not work that way. It works through alignment, through trust, through surrender. Edgar Cayce taught that the soul's greatest power comes not from doing, but from being. From living in harmony with your true nature. From allowing your energy to flow where it is meant to go instead of forcing it into shapes that do not fit. And that is what your generation is being called to do now. Not to chase, not to strive, but to align. To trust that the life you are meant to live will reveal itself when you stop trying to control it. You have been carrying a frequency your whole life. A frequency of truth, of depth, of refusal to settle for what does not feel right. And for years, that frequency has made your life harder. It has kept you from fitting in. It has made you question things other people accepted without a second thought. It has made you feel alone, misunderstood, out of sync with the world around you. But that frequency is what the world needs now, because the world is waking up, slowly, painfully, but it is waking up. And as it does, it is looking for people who are already awake, people who have already done the work, people who are not pretending anymore, people who have stopped apologizing for who they are. That is you. You are the proof that it is possible to go through everything the world throws at you and still come out with your soul intact. And that is what you are here to stabilize. Not systems, not institutions, not structures, but people. The people who are just now realizing that everything they believed in is not true. The people who are scared, confused, grieving the loss of a world they thought they understood. The people who do not know what to do next. You are here to show them that it is okay not to know, that it is okay to feel lost, that it is okay to let go of what is not real so that something truer can take its place. You do not have to say much. You do not have to explain. You just have to be. Your presence alone is enough, because you carry something most people have forgotten. You carry the memory of who we really are. Not bodies trying to survive. Not minds trying to figure everything out. But souls on a journey that is far bigger than this one lifetime. And when people are around you, even if they do not understand why, they feel that. They feel something in you that reminds them of something. In themselves, something they lost. Something they are ready to remember. That this is not about being a teacher. This is not about being a healer. This is not about having a title or a platform or a following. This is about being real. About being honest. About being willing to show your scars and your struggles and your questions without pretending you have it all figured out. Because the world does not need more people pretending. It needs more people being human. Messy, imperfect, beautiful, struggling, growing, human. And your generation knows how to do that. You were raised in a time that tried to make everything look perfect, but you saw through it. You lived in a time that tried to numb everything painful, but you refused to numb yourself. You existed in a time that tried to simplify everything complex, but you honored the complexity. That refusal to play along, that stubbornness to stay true to what you felt even when it made your life harder, that was not rebellion. That was integrity. And now the world is catching up to you. The world is realizing that the simple answers do not work anymore. That the perfect images were always fake. That the numbing only made things worse. And as the world wakes up to that truth, it will need people who already know how to live in it. People who already know how to sit with discomfort. People who already know how to trust themselves when nothing else makes sense. People like you. Edgar Cayce said that the earth is a school, and every soul that comes here is both a student and a teacher. You came here to learn certain things, to heal certain wounds, to balance certain energies. But you also came here to teach, not with words, not with lectures, but with your life, with the way you move through the world, with the choices you make when no one is watching, with the love you give even when it is not returned, with the faith you hold even when everything tells you to let go. That is your mission. Not to save the world, not to fix what is broken, but to be a living example of what it looks like to stay true to your soul even when the world around you is falling apart. Because when people see that, when they feel that, something inside them shifts, something remembers. And that remembering, that quiet, deep awakening, that is what will change everything. You do not need to wait for permission. You do not need to wait until you feel ready. You do not need to wait until your life looks a certain way. You are already doing it. Every time you choose truth over comfort. Every time you honor your feelings instead of hiding them. Every time you walk away from what does not serve you, even when it is hard. Every time you trust your intuition, even when it does not make sense. You are already living your mission. You are already stabilizing the shift. You are already doing what you came here to do. And the more you trust that, the more you align with it, the more your life will begin to reflect it. Not in the ways the old world taught you to measure success, but in the ways your soul recognizes as real, in peace, in connection, in meaning, in the quiet, unshakable knowing that you are exactly where you are supposed to be, that you are exactly who you are supposed to be, and that everything you have been through, every struggle, every loss, every moment of doubt, it was all leading you here. To this moment, to this shift, to this version of yourself that is finally ready to stop hiding and start living. You were prepared for this, and now it is time.